How you good people? How you doing? I hope you're all having a fantastic time. It's a Sunday afternoon and I thought, let me just share something that I went through. I talk a lot about real estate, being cautious when you're transacting in real estate, and I almost became a victim. People tell me, I mean, you can't get conned because you know your way around real estate. But let me tell you guys, a couple of months ago, I was looking for a property around Konza, you know. And one key thing I've always known, if you're not conversant with a particular area, look for an agent that is very conversant with that area or friends who understand that area better than you. So I get in touch with one of my good friends and I tell him I'm looking for a piece of land just to invest around Konza, knowing that Konza, I mean, the potential growth for that area is not, I mean, like it's evident that the area is growing, you know. And then he linked me up with an agent. And for this matter, I was like, okay, how well do you know this agent? Because ideally, I always say as much as you're working with a fellow agent, you also need to understand who are they, what transactions have they done in the market, and be safe enough. Now, I checked for a couple of information for this agent and I couldn't get enough or convincing information. But the fact that he knew, or rather he was known to my friend, I was like, good. So you just tell him to get us a couple of properties and we are coming down to see them one of the weekends. So we planned for this trip and he said he had around like 3 or 4 properties around Konza, Malili area, and I said, good. So fast forward, we get ourselves ready for the journey. I pick up my friend and we met the agent on the ground. And the first property we went, I was like, wow, this is it. It ticks all the boxes that I was looking for. And then it was like, I think a kilometer from the highway. And that was like, good for me. This agent introduced us to Moso, the property owner proxy guy. And he was, you know, we're asking questions. Then he's like, let me call the owner just to confirm a couple of details for you. That for me was a red flag because if you've been mandated to sell a piece of land, you need to have your information at hand. Now, one thing I picked up is that for some weird reasons, there were no people, there were no settlers around that piece of land. He mentioned this is like an 8-acre plot, but you know, if you're in real estate, you get to understand these things by just a look of your the eye. You can tell the size of land. For me, it looked like more like a 2-acre plot. So I asked him, can we just see where this property extends to? Then he told us it extends from, you know, from up there to down the road. There was a seasonal river down the road to down the road, and then you see, then he's just showing. So you see that piece of big tree to the other side, that is where the piece of land extends to. Okay, I said fine. So how much is the owner asking for? He gave me a figure. 800,000 per acre. Okay. Anyway, at this point, I already have like an idea of how much acre plots are going for in that particular area. But in this time, I've already started feeling this is not a genuine person because one, we asked for the owner, we met the owner on the ground, he never showed up. Now we're being told, let's talk to the owner so I can tell you if this property is 8 or 10 acres or 2 acres. Then, as you're going up the hill to check on the upper side of the boundary, I mean like the boundary of the property, we realized someone was building up the road, and there was like a deserted home somewhere. I picked that up, and I just said it's fine. So I told him we are willing to meet the owner and just have a conversation on this property. And ideally, he told us, okay, when do you want to come? I said, we will plan and probably just talk to the agent who is going to give you the information. He said, it's fine. And let me tell you guys, when we were in that property, there was this heavy fumes of fuel coming from the depot point. And that was like, this can't be a settling place. Because the other guys are, the only home that was near that place, it was deserted. No one was living there. I said, okay, fine. So we left it at that. So we met the second agent. If you're in this land searching process, you meet a lot of agents before you get to. And I'm not disclosing I'm an agent. I'm actually now a potential buyer. So we meet the second agent. Let me tell you guys, we were taken to a piece of land that we had to park, then go down a valley. We found some gabions, like a dam that has been built around. And then we are standing there. This agent is telling us, that property is up there. That is a property that is being sold. It's an acre going for X amount of money. And then I ask, how do you access that piece of land? It's like, you young people, this was an older guy, you young people, you have very stupid questions. Oh, let me tell you guys, now, I think this guy didn't know. I was the one I was like an agent like him. And then we started our way to the property. And I remember getting deep into like a very small, narrow path with a dam that has been built around. And this agent, funny enough, that is his home area, And my friend got convinced because if this guy lives here, he knows his way around the place. And he told us, that is my home up the hill, and the property I'm selling is right next to it. So I asked him, where do you park when you come to, visit your place and everything? He said, actually, this is where I park. And I just walk up the road, But the potential of this place is going to grow in future. Now, I ask myself, I'm looking for a place where it's easily accessible and everything. And I could see I'm really provoking him because he doesn't... He thinks that he thought this was a very good property to settle because he has settled there. But people have different preferences, And I can tell you guys, if you're an agent out there, you should always listen to your potential buyers because I always say the client is always right. Listen to him, get to know what he's looking for. And for me, I'd gone with my husband and it was just like, we're wasting time because this is not what you're looking for. And he said, okay, if you're looking for something accessible, I have something else, let's go. I'll show you. So we drove, go to the highway, went to the other side, but this was easily accessible. But now, the other thing was, I could tell it's a swampy area. This time it was dry. My first question was, how do people really develop in this piece of land? He said, no, you just need to go deeper, there's a way you can go deep in a swampy area and everything. And he actually drove us to a place where someone was developing. But you could tell people, the first person who was settled in, they're 3-4 kilometers away. Then I asked, where are the beacons? He could show us the beacons. I asked, do you have the mutation form plan for this area? He didn't answer that. It's in the office. I said, okay, fine. It's a good property, but in my mind, I had reservations already because ideally you need to understand how have people developed? If you're looking for a settlement area, have people settled around or not? Property number 3. Wow. That day, it was really a long day. So we went to a place where there are some subdivisions that have been done. And then he convinced us, he told us, they are small, the people nowadays, they're buying like a huge chunk of land and then they subdivide, then they sell the small pieces of land. My first question was, do you have the mother title? Do you have the mutations? Has anyone bought? Any proof of anyone who has bought like titles that have come up? Anyway, he gave his answers. I wasn't very convinced, but at this point, I'm not showing that I am not convinced. But he told me, first of all, there are only 2 units left. Diaspora community has bought, majority of this chunk of land. I said, okay, well and good. But we'll give our queries in terms of the comfort of documents that we need to see before we move forward. And I remember that guy just thinking we're very young and trying to tell us this is the time to buy, which I don't disagree. It is, but we also need to move with caution. And this guy just said, I've met young people and they have really weird questions. Guys, at this point I was like really offended because I am putting my money, as much as it's less than $1 million, Bob, it's money that I've really worked hard for. And I would really want to know I'm putting my money in a very safe place. So I asked them, where are your offices in Nairobi? They gave me the address. I checked them out. I asked my friend, how do you know this guy? He told me he's a good friend. And at that point, I was like, okay, fine. Of all these properties, the first property we saw is the one we want to move ahead and just do some due diligence on it. Now, if you watch my video, I said the second step after you've identified the property, send a proxy to go and check, just survey on the ground, talk to the chiefs, talk to the governmental officers if really they know any history about that land or the owner or anything. So I talked to my dad and I told my dad, I want you to go and check out this piece of land. I'll give you the agent's number. And if you know anyone around there, he knows the governmental guys around that area. So he called them. He said, I need to book an appointment, come check it out and everything. So yeah, that happened. And I can tell you what happened on that day. It was like the end of us guys closing that property. Now, he got on site earlier than the appointment time and he met someone who was just passing by. And I'd already coached my dad on the questions and the things. He told him get there earlier than, the person. If you see anyone, just ask them if they know about anything about the land. And get to understand more what happened, especially looking at the history of that place. This governmental institution must have bought people out to buy that property. And actually, this guy who he met first, he told him, all this place around here, Kenya Pipeline Company has compensated them. And they have been paid off. So anyone selling, they're not selling, they're just calling people to make money out of it. Oh, that was deep. So I called my friend, and mind you, this is 2 weeks after our first appointment. Huh? Was it 2 or no, a week? No, sorry, a month. So within that 1 month, this guy was constantly calling, we have another buyer. When are you going to commit your 10%? And then I'm like, how would you even commit without even having given the documents to do your search and everything? Whew, that was a red flag. And I think that topped up because now I was just telling my dad to confirm the fears that we had. This is not a legit property. And we said, you know what, ideally, that's what you need to do. that was out of the question. Now, to the other agent who took us to like 3 or 4 properties around that area, I always say, get a mutation form to confirm those beacons on the ground. Seeing a beacon, my darlings, is not confirmation that the piece of land is legit. We were shown beacons, we were shown the mother title, but then again, I just wanted to know, can you just tell us, I mean, if this beacons to come out, you've already done what you call land adjudication, and that never came through till today. So I said, I mean, I'd rather be safe than sorry. I left it at that. Now, I am very desperate to get a piece of land in this place, and my dad talks to someone who lives around that area, and they actually give us another proxy to show us a piece of land around Salama area and everywhere. Hey, this now it's another dimension, guys. I get a very attractive piece of land. People have settled around, and I remember, now it's another technicality. I remember being convinced that this is legit, and I tell this proxy, I need you to, I need you to give me the property documents. At some point, what I've picked up is many people see a piece of land, and then all of a sudden you're convinced, let me commit my money. You put your 10%, and when you're coming to realize that this is not a legit property, your 10% deposit is already gone, and there's no way you can get that because you didn't even involve your lawyer to transact on your behalf. So I get the properties, I run a search, and I find a couple of contradicting situations on this piece of, the search that I got. This was the second search I had done. Ideally, I always recommend do a couple of searches with different people at different times, because our Ministry of Lands document, they're trying to reorganize their documents, and in the process, a lot has been not, let me just say, a lot has been going on, and I don't want to just talk on the negative, but to be cautious, just get a couple of guys to run a search for you at different times. This was the first search I got, and I picked up some red flags. And I asked him, so let me ask you ABCD, why this happened. And fast forward, I kind of got convinced because this prospective agent told me, actually, I have bought my piece of land where I've settled from these people, and that kind of convinced me. I was like, if he's settled and everything, why not just move forward? Because ideally, at times, registration of titles takes a lot of time. Anyway, so that convinced me, and I remember he talked to the owners and they were ready to start the transaction. But something else kept on pulling me back. I actually said, you know what, let me just talk to guys who know, the neighbors and everything. And I remember meeting someone and he told me, don't really buy into that property because there are some family issues on the piece of land and it might not really sit well. You might stay for a couple of, years, and you don't know how the future is going to look like. And guys, let me tell you, when you meet a motivated seller, they will do anything to convince you that all is well. Yeah, because these guys completely were 100% sure that this is the right property for us. And if I never went back to do, the background search on the neighbors, the seller, I would have lost money, And for me, I always say it's good to always listen to your gut. don't be too greedy to acquire property when you have money, because you might end up losing that money. And understanding why the seller is selling is always key, and that is what we call the motivation behind the sale. If you understand why, and if it's a family property, get to know if every member of that family has agreed to or are consented to the sale, then you'd be in safe hands. Although let me just share with that with you, because many people out here have met, they have in one way or another lost money, or someone I remember, sorry, reaching out to me and telling me, I've already given out my deposit, and my lawyers have just realized that piece of land is in the no-go report. Let your lawyers handle the legality, or before you can give them the 10% to hold for you. Once they're okay that this piece of land is good, then move forward, okay? But I would say, guys, in Nairobi, or even everywhere, there are a lot of stories of land, land deals gone wrong, and you don't want to become a victim. So check out my video, this link, and be on the watch out when you're buying. And the other thing I would also say, you could identify a piece of land, but get the professional advice before you proceed. Okay? I thought, let me share my story. It could be something that you could learn from. And I'll see you in my next video. And thank you so much for watching. This has been quite a good time for me, growing with you guys and just learning from what I talk about every day, because even me, I am learning. It's a learning process for everyone. Okay, guys, if you've not subscribed, please remember to subscribe and share, like, and comment on my videos. I'll see you in my next video.